Hey everyone, Mah-Dry-Bread here. Pokemon Fire Red with only one Meg Cargo was an insanely hard solo run. Let's follow that up with one that's got a lot of history with me. Today's the day that we figure out would I be able to beat Pokemon Red with a team of only Poison-type Pokemon. You know what this one's all about. This is one of the challenges that you guys picked over on a Patreon poll, and I'm super excited for it. Poison is my all-time favorite type, and Gen 1 is absolutely loaded with them. In fact, there's so many poison types that I'm gonna have to make some hard decisions on who to even take with us. I know that I'm not gonna have room for some of my favorites. Now, poison isn't all that strong of a type in this game since so many Pokemon are also poison type and thus resist it, and there's almost no Pokemon in the game that poison is actually good against, but hey, that's just part of the challenge. Like always, I'm writing the script as I go through the challenge, so if this part is being written before I've started. Everyone comment down below and guess if I can win or not. Oh, I can absolutely win this one. This is more about having a fun time. Let's explain the rules. In combat, I can only use Poison-type Pokemon. I'll need other Pokemon to use HMs, but I won't be allowed to use any of those Pokemon in battle. No glitches or exploits, no items in battle, only Pokeballs and items outside of combat are allowed. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let's do this. So right off the bat, I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Squirtle with Grimer so that we can do the whole run with it. I went with Grimer because it's a solo poison type, and I don't think I've ever used it in a run before. Plus, it's normally a late game Pokemon, so I think it'll be interesting to use it from the start. While we walk to the Rock Gym, I want to tell you a fun story about the deep lore of this very YouTube channel. Back in August of 2011, I was 18 years old, and I had already made 2 or 3 Let's Plays. I was still completely unknown, but I was having a fun time doing it. Well, as August came around, I had just finished up my previous Let's Play, so I decided to play one of my favorite games that I grew up with, Pokemon Blue, but I wanted to do it in a special way. So I decided I would take my favorite type, Poison type, and beat the whole game with only that. The format may have been that of a Let's Play, but it was my first ever Pokemon challenge. 14 years ago, I did a Poison-type only run that you can still see in the playlist section of this very channel. I'm sure it's unwatchably bad by modern standards, but I still keep it up because it's interesting to see how far I've come. I'm really proud of what I've done with this channel. Now with all the sentimental stuff out of the way, I'm making my way to Brock. Naturally, I'm gonna grind a lot. We only have 2 moves until level 30, Pound and Disable. Not exactly the most exciting moves, and considering we're going up against a Geodude and an Onix, it sounds difficult. Plus, Grimer is slow, and Onix has Bide. If we show up and we're slower than him, we're gonna have some real problems. You'd think Disable could ruin his Bide, but in Gen 1, Disable picks a random move rather than whatever they used last, so it's probably not a reliable strategy. I just have to grind until I can brute force them, then I can get my hands on 2 more Pokemon that I'm interested in. Now let's take some tries at Brock. So once I hit level 16, I gave the Rock Gym a try. Obviously, Geodude was absolutely taking ages thanks to Defense Curl, but we did eventually take him down. The problem is that Onix is faster than us, so we can't avoid Bide. I did end up disabling to stop his Bide at one point after it started, but it just ends up making his Bide last even longer, so it crushed us when he unleashed it. I need a few more levels. So I tried this fight a couple more times at level 20 and just keep losing, but I was incredibly close to a win each time. In a fight this long, you see a lot of random stuff. Screech missing, crits bypassing Defense Curl, or them just picking weird, bad moves over and over. It took 3 tries, but on this one, I just hardly survived with only 4 health left. It was close, but I knew this would be possible. Alright, it's time for 2 new Pokemon, and they're some of my favorites from Gen 1. First, we get a male Nidoran. I went with the male one rather than the female one for 2 reasons. One is that I find its early moveset is a little bit better with Horn Attack, and 2, it's going to have a lot more attack in the long run, so I'll probably end up using this as my main while I'm traveling. By the way, I totally could have caught this before the first gym, I just kind of forgot that they were over here in this version. For some reason I had it in my head that they were on the route after Pewter, but that's only in Pokemon Yellow, not in Red and Blue. Not that it really mattered. It doesn't learn Double Kick super early in Red, that's a Yellow thing, so it's not going to have helped me in the gym. After that, I go to Mount Moon to catch Zubat, one of my all-time favorite Pokemon. It's not quite as crazy strong in this game, just because Crobat does not exist until Gen 2, but Golbat is still a really solid Pokemon, and the only flying type that we can get our hands on, so I'm for sure taking it. I think if I remember right, I'm making this video after Gen 9 is already out. I think all the way up to Gen 9, Zubat and its evolutions are the only poison flying types. I think. I could be wrong. Alright, now let's go see how the water gym goes. On our way there, though, I took the Helix fossil. I knew that if I didn't say what I took, you'd all ask. Actually, now that I think about it, everyone asks anyway. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. So after grinding the Zubat up to teach it Bite, I went to the water gym fight. Staryu did a lot more damage to our team than we wanted, but the real threat is Starmie, who is even doing decent damage with Tackle thanks to a crit. We came shockingly close to taking it out on the first try, but it's all luck. Misty just picks random moves. I think it's a better idea to just level up a few times and then try again. I really want that Bubble Beam TM for the type coverage. So I grinded both of the weaker Pokemon up to level 18 and got Grimer up 2 levels as well, and things went so much better. Really, the biggest part is just that Nidoran evolved into Nidorino and is doing a ton more damage. I was gonna use the Moonstone, but I figured that making him weak to water right before the water gym is just a bad idea. So I saved the Moonstone, and I'll either use it right before the rival fight if I lose, or after it if I win. I'll explain why I'm evolving him so early in a minute. I guess we still could have lost the fight if we'd just gotten really unlucky with critical Bubble Beams at the end, but her move choice is random, so she wanted to do stuff like Tackle, so it went pretty well. Let's learn the Bubble Beam right away, and then do the rival fight. Alright, well, after that, we basically just stomped our rival. He didn't use Sand Attack, and it wouldn't have mattered too much if he did, since we can swap Pokemon to remove the debuff, so we had an easy time. As annoying as Bulbasaur can be, we have a Grimer, so we don't really have to worry about his damage output. Just stuff like Leech Seed. Alright, we gotta travel to the SSN next. We have a Pokemon on our way, but first let me talk a little bit about my strategy on this run. You'll notice that I evolved Nidorino into a Nidoking really early with a Moonstone from Mount Moon. Well, like most stone evolutions, its level up moves change when it evolves. In this case, it only learns one unique move, and that's Thrash at level 23. Other than that, it misses out on all of Nidorino's level up moves. The thing is, the only good move it learns by level up is Double Kick, and in Red and Blue, that isn't until level 50. I really don't think I need Double Kick that badly, but what I do need is a Nidoking early. Its stats are fantastic. It even has good special, although the merged special stats actually mean that Nidoking doesn't hit quite as hard with special moves as it does in later gens. Still, it can learn a ton of TMs, and it's a solid Pokemon, so that's why I taught it Bubble Beam. It's the only thing that can learn it until we get a water type later, and by then we're going to be using Surf, so evolving into Nidoking early just seems like a good decision. Anyway, on my way to the next rival fight, I pick up Oddish. Personally, I'm more of a Bellsprout guy, but that's a blue exclusive. I still do like Oddish. I really like grass types in general in Gen 1. They have a lot of good effect moves. I'm not sure when I want to give it a Leaf Stone, but I'll look more into that later when we can buy one. I figure that we're going to need to level up more before we take it anyway. So as expected, we totally squashed the rival fight. It's pretty rare that this one causes any problems. I figure the Electric Gym is going to be even easier since we have a ground type. Yeah, that's what I thought. We totally destroyed them, no problem at all. Alright, so we have a few major fights left before we can get more Pokemon. We've got the first Giovanni fight, the Grass Gym, and the Pokemon Tower rival fight. I figure that the Grass Gym could be a little hard just because they're mostly grass and poison, so we don't exactly have a type advantage, and her team is generally tough, but I'm not all that worried about Giovanni and our rival. Our rival is always kind of easy in the Pokemon Tower, and Giovanni should be easy with Oddish. Really, I'm just looking forward to after we win these fights, because then we have access to a Pokemon that I really like. And hey, if you enjoy the show and you want to help support it going forward, check out my Patreon or YouTube membership pages. There's all kinds of cool rewards on there, including seeing these challenge videos the moment I finish editing them. Thanks! So first is Giovanni, and naturally his rock types were super easy for Gloom to take out. Kangaskhan is a bit tougher, but Grimer never went down. I'm trying to level him up so that he has Sludge for the Grass Gym, but he might be slightly too low of a level for that. Next is the Grass Gym. This started awful with Victory Bell being faster than us and spamming Rap. This is Gen 1, so we can't fight back while in it. So he just spammed Rap for entire minutes straight. It wasn't until we were low on health that he finally missed a couple times and we could take him out. Tangela was just a one-shot with Sludge since it's the only solo grass-type Pokemon in the whole game. But last is Vileplume, and although we hit some big body slams, we went down. Zubat came in, and although we were underleveled, we bid a few times for the win and even evolved because of it. Let's go test out our new Golbat on our rival. So as expected, the fight was easy, but I'm loving how well Golbat did against Ivysaur. Bug is good against both grass and poison in Gen 1, so the normally useless Leech Life actually did fantastic damage. That combined with us double resisting grass makes me think that Golbat is our counter to Venusaur as the game goes on. Alright, with that done, we can finally get a new Pokemon, Venonat. I love this Pokemon. I've already done a Beedrill run in the past, so I didn't want to do that again for my bug poison type, so I grabbed the Venonat instead so I'd have a Venomoth for the first time later in this run. Now that does mean that I skipped Ghastly, and that's obviously an insanely strong Pokemon in this game, but I decided it would be more interesting if I didn't take it. Pokemon Red with 1 Ghastly was the second fastest challenge run I have ever done. It's just behind Red with 1 Poliwag, if I remember right. For the sake of giving us something new and interesting, I'm just not going to take Ghastly. Now let's grab the TM for Earthquake from Silph, then see how he does in the Poison Gym. Alright, so Earthquake did an amazing job. Because of there being no abilities, it's able to hit Koga's whole team. Weezing survived, but he blew up to throw the fight. I love when that happens. Alright, now that we're on the water, I catch Tentacool. Now obviously this is one of the best poison types in Gen 1. Probably one of the best poison Pokemon ever, just in general. It's just so insanely strong, and as soon as it evolves, it's probably going to be the best Pokemon on our whole team. And the cool thing about Tentacool is that you can catch them at about the same level they evolve at. You've seen me do this exact thing before though, how you can catch a Tentacool right outside of the fire gym, then beat the entire gym with it. So let's do it again! Well, it evolved while sweeping trainers in the gym, then we had an absolute no-damage borderline sweep with Blaine. He did have some chances to hit us, but he used Tail Whip, so nothing happened. Best trainer ever. Well, it's time for the Silph rival fight, and I never really feel great about this, especially since he's gonna have an Alakazam now. That probably means that there's gonna be a ton of luck in this fight. By the way, you'll notice I didn't catch Coughing while I was on Cinnabar Island. Now, some of you have seen my video reviewing every single Pokemon in Gen 1. I had a real fun time with that, can't wait to do Gen 2. And you may know from that video that Coughing is my second favorite Pokemon ever. And trust me, I was tempted to take it, but I decided against it. It's a solo poison type, and so is Grimer. If I'm gonna pick between Coughing and Grimer, I'll pick Grimer just because I haven't done a solo run with it, but I have done a solo run with Coughing before. Now let's go lose to our rival. So I get to the rival, and right away we hit Sludge and Poison Pidgeot after it does a little bit of damage to us. I was thinking of using Minimize, but I decided to play nice and just attack, just to instantly regret it, as he uses Sand Attack on us and we missed twice, with him eventually going down to poison damage. I see how it is. Next is Water Onix though, and we had no great answer, so I just kept throwing our weaker Pokemon at it to get some use out of them. Golbat and Gloom did pretty much nothing to him, but as Muck came back in, we hit some big body slams. We could have gone down to Hydro Pump, but our second from last body slam paralyzed him to give us the speed advantage, so we finished him off. Growlithe was a one-shot from Earthquake, and I was hoping I'd get lucky against Alakazam, but he instantly takes out both Nidoking and Muck with critical confusions. Last is our Tentacruel, who actually somehow ended up surviving 2 confusions to take him out with Surf, but last is his Venusaur, and of course we were not going to take him out with a single Tentacruel. I didn't have Venonat on me because of an HM Pokemon, so I ran out of team. I think I need to go catch up some of the lower leveled members of the team. I'll get them to a minimum of 30, and then I'll keep trying. Alright, couple tries later. This time I just body slammed the whole time against Pidgeot, and although we took a bit of damage, it's nothing that Muck couldn't handle. I switched to Golbat as Water Onix came out, mostly just to remove the accuracy loss on Muck. Confuse Ray and Bite did a great job against Water Onix. We actually ended up nearly taking them out before his Hydro Pump finished us off. Muck was able to finish it off pretty fast, but we took a Dragon Rage for a good chunk of health. Growlithe still would have been a one-shot, but I misclicked and hit Thunderbolt, but he wasted a turn with Roar, so we still took him out right after. It didn't matter. And Alakazam still crit Nidoking for a one-shot, but Tentacruel was able to spam Surf and safely take him out now that we're faster. Last is Venusaur, but because we still have Muck with half of his health, we were able to finish him off pretty easily. Hey, that wasn't so bad. We're still mostly a lower level than them. After that is Giovanni, and although it was easy, it wasn't as easy as I expected. I thought that our Nidoking could just Earthquake the whole thing, but some defense drops over the course of the fight made us too frail to make it the whole way. Outside of Muck, we aren't really all that high of a level. With some good luck, we could probably beat the Psychic Gym, and I don't think the Ground Gym will be too hard, but the next rival fight might have us stuck for a while. Alright, the Psychic Gym was amazing. The first Psybeam from Kadabra nearly one-shot Nidoking, even without a crit, so I was thinking the whole fight this would be a meat grinder the moment we got to Alakazam, but he used Psywave. He did 1 damage, then we paralyzed him with a Body Slam, and then finished him off. It really is amazing how terrible Psywave is. It might be the worst move in the game that actually does damage. It is shockingly awful. Last for the gyms is the Ground Gym, but really, the only real threat here is Dugtrio, and Golbat did a great job of confusing it and taking it out since it wasn't really attacking. Maybe it only has Dig for attacking moves. Either way, despite being a much lower level, we took them out just fine. I figure the upcoming rival fight is going to be brutal though. Our lower leveled Pokemon are going to be almost 20 levels lower than our rival's team. I figure that we're going to lose pretty badly and have to catch them up in levels. Okay, so first try at the rival fight, and I knew that Pidgeot was just going to spam Agility, so I taught Toxic to Golbat and slowly took it out. If you didn't already know, the Gen 1 AI is really awful, and trainers later on in the game just pick random super effective moves. Well, the game doesn't actually check if a move does damage or not, just the types, so Pidgeot will use Agility forever thinking it's going to be super effective against a poison type. Oh, Gen 1. Rhydon is of course a one-shot with Bubble Beam, but third is Water Onix, and he's an absolute crit machine. He took out tons of our team, and left Muck with only 5 health, 9 after the level up. Growlithe was just a one-shot with Earthquake, but Alakazam absolutely wrecked us. Even if Water Onix had gone great, I still think that we would have lost to Alakazam. I think it's time I seriously level up the party, since they are just so massively underleveled. Our new lowest level should be 40. Let me catch them up to that, then we can keep trying. 40 is still a lot lower than them, but it might be enough to win. So we got to level 40 and kept trying. This time for Water Onix, I used Toxic before being crit for a one-shot, but then our new Vileplume was pretty easily able to take it out with Petal Dance, partly because of his bad move choice. Growlithe is still a one-shot, but Alakazam is always dangerous. All I can do is throw my team at him until he does something stupid, and although he took out Nidoking, he just kept using stuff like Reflect against Muck, so I could Body Slam him down. Although we did almost faint. It was okay though. Last is Venusaur, and although it took out Muck, he was only using Poison Powder against Vileplume, so we just spammed Acid until he fainted. Alright, with that done, we're on our way to the Elite Four, and I'm not really sure how I feel. On one hand, we are underleveled, but on the other hand, I think a lot of these last fights will be kinda easy. Lance has a lot of psychic buffs, so he's hardly gonna fight back. Bruno's always easy, and abilities don't exist yet, so all of Agatha's Ghost-type Pokemon can't levitate away from an Earthquake. Lorelei might be a bit annoying, but I really think that the champ is the only other real threat to worry about. Now that we're the Elite Four, let's take a look at our team. Well, we're not ready yet, but I know that we could be soon. I could tell that this moveset just isn't good enough, though, as I was looking over the team. I decided to go grab a few TMs and slap them on whoever could take them. Gen 1 has a lot of Pokemon that can learn TMs that you really would not expect, so I put Fire Blast on Muck, Ice Beam on Tentacruel, and Psychic on Venomoth. I could also have put Ice Beam on Nidoking because he can learn all kinds of weird moves, but he's pretty full on moves right now and Tentacruel would be better with it anyway. Make your final guesses on if we can win this or not. Let's do this. First is Ice Trainer Lorelei. Right away, Dugong only used Rest, so I really lucked out on getting him fully paralyzed for so long because this could have taken ages, but he went down fast. Cloyster is second, so I sent in Tentacruel. The AI doesn't like using moves that aren't very effective, so it just uses Supersonic the whole time, never hurting us. Third is Slowbro, who just spams Amnesia, so I slowly whittle it down just fine. But Jinx is next, and she's real dangerous. We ended up sending in Muck just to get fully paralyzed for ages and taken out thanks to a crit. We hit some big body slams and almost took her out though, so I sent in Nidoking to finish it. Last is Lapras, and this thing is crazy dangerous. Blizzard has 90 accuracy, in Gen 1. And because trainers don't use power points in Gen 1, she can use it every single turn if she wants to, and she definitely wants to. Nidoking went down fast, and so did Golbat, but at least I hit Toxic in the process. Venomoth was able to waste some turns, but we hardly did any damage with Psychic. In the end, I had to send in Tentacruel to mostly waste time and use Surf, just so that the poison damage could build up. We won, but it was getting close. Hey, I'm just impressed we even survived at such a low level. Second is fighting trainer Bruno. Despite being about 15 levels lower than his team, we totally demolished him. Even his Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee were taking massive damage from our Tentacruel using Surf. There was just no way they were going to make anything faint. Bruno didn't stand a chance. Third is Ghost Trainer Agatha. This took 3 tries just because of legendary amounts of awful confusion luck at the start, but as soon as we got the ball rolling, we were fine. Earthquake does completely insane damage to most of her team, nearly one-shotting a Gengar that's 20 levels higher than us at the end. She spent almost the whole fight spamming Confuse Ray and Haze, of all things, so we had no issue. Agatha in Gen 1 has a real bad habit of confusing you, then using Haze to get rid of your confusion. I don't know why she does that. I can only assume it's a random move choice thing. Fourth is Dragon Trainer Lance. Yeah, this was super easy too. He's got 5 Pokemon and only 2 of them fight us thanks to spamming Agility and Barrier. You'd think Water Onix could still be really dangerous, but it was actually pretty easy. And Aerodactyl has a legendarily horrible moveset in Gen 1, so it couldn't do much either. You may have seen I very recently did a solo run of Pokemon Red with one Aerodactyl. It was really fun, because, whoa, its moves are awful. This is going pretty great, but I still think we're going into a brick wall fight against our rival. I'm pretty sure he's a minimum of 20 levels higher than our entire team at this point. Finally, the Pokemon Champion. First up is Pidgeot, so I open by spamming Ice Beam, and it keeps using Mirror Move to shoot it back at us. I was a little worried about getting frozen, but thankfully it goes okay and we take it down. Next is Alakazam, and I'm sure it could have one-shot us with literally any psychic attacking move, but instead, he used Reflect 4 times in a row. Why is it that Alakazam seems to just get stuck on that move sometimes? There's gotta be a weird AI reason, because there's no way it's literally just rolling dice and landing on that every time naturally. And we've had this happen in so many runs now, where he just keeps using Reflect over and over. After that is Rhydon, but we easily Bubble Beam it down, only taking a Tail Whip in the process. As Water Onix came out, I tried using Thunderbolt, but we instantly went down to Hydro Pump, and Golbat just missed Toxic, and got one-shot by a Hyper Beam. So it was up to Tentacruel to spam Ice Beam. It didn't do much, but he wasted time with stuff like Lyriton, so we took him to a Sliver, fainted, then we finished it with Muck, who wanted to learn Harden at level 45 because Gen 1 level ups are weird like that. RK9 was easy with Sludge spam, but we took a decent chunk of damage. And last is Venusaur. I tried spamming Acid with Vileplume like last time, but this time it actually hits us with moves, so we eventually fainted. I sent in Muck thinking I'd easily take it down, just to end up getting hit by a Mega Drain that actually took us out thanks to him using Growth earlier. With only our pretty useless Venomoth left, I thought we'd lose, but we double resist Grass, and it helped us hold on from things like Razor Leaf for just long enough that we hardly got a win with 1 Pokemon left. I can't believe we just won at this low of a level. I don't remember what level I won at 14 years ago, shocker, I know, but this is probably better than that. That was a really fun run. I always love using Pokemon that I don't normally get to use, and this run had a lot of that. I should probably do a Poison type only run in every gen. That'd be a fun time. Really hope you guys like that run. The next Pokemon Challenge should be up next week on Saturday, like usual, with Pokemon Gold, with only 1 Goldeen. As always, I'm looking at your suggestions in the comments, in the challenge quest section of my Discord channel, and on Twitter. Subscribe, ring the bell, stay tuned. Outro time. Now, I'm assuming there's probably not credits on screen. You guys already know from the last week's outro, I was soliciting public help on trying to get that credits thing working. I talked about the issues I was having in the outro of the last one. Go back and listen to that if you want to. Yeah, because, you know, obviously this video, I make it before it comes out, duh, it has to be made before it comes out, and because I'm always recording a run that I then edit the next week and then it goes up the week after, Yeah, I haven't gotten the feedback on the credits thing yet. The only people who have been able to see that video where I talk about the credits thing, as of the moment that I'm recording this voiceover, are the people with the early viewing, so only a few hundred people have seen the video. And of those few hundred people, I guess none of them have Adobe Premiere and checked that they could get it working. I did have one person who's an artist who was suggesting that maybe I export the Photoshop picture of the credits as a vector image and see if that behaves any better. But obviously they didn't test it, so I don't know for sure that works. And also, to be honest, I didn't even know you could export a photo in Photoshop as a vector image. I'm gonna have to look into that later. But again, just like before, and who knows, maybe by the time you see this video, the problem will already be answered, but I don't know. If you have Premiere Pro, if you have that software right now, I'm talking the newest version, not one of the old versions. The old versions used vector graphics. They didn't have this issue. If you have the newest version, the 2025 one, like I do, and you can go into your program right now, make a credits list of 500 names. Literally just, the word could be blank. It doesn't matter. Like the word blank. Just copy paste that 500 times or whatever, and then paste that into your text editor on Premiere, and you'll notice it chugs horribly, right? Now, if you can find any workaround that you can confirm for sure works and looks good, and that you yourself can do, and you can render the video, I need you to be able to prove that you can do the whole thing, then please email me at my business email. You'll see it on my YouTube channel in the About section. Everybody knows my email is just madrot567@gmail.com. Please, serious business inquiries only. I don't want it to get completely flooded with people spitballing ideas. This is why I'm so specific. Please open up Premiere, do your solution yourself, render the video, and then click on the video that you rendered and make sure it displays fine. If you successfully do that, please contact me and tell me how you fixed it. Because, again, old versions of Premiere Pro, credits were the easiest thing in the world. It's all vector-based. It always ran like smooth like butter. But as you heard from my outro last week where I went into all the details on it, in the modern version, they don't use vector. They use like a CPU-GPU hybrid thing. And man, even though my CPU and GPU are pretty good and it's not hitting anywhere near the limit and I have a lot of RAM left and all of that, it chugs the program horribly and the video just doesn't render once it hits that credits point of the video. I tried making it as a picture, but Photoshop, the picture is 500 names long. So Photoshop automatically caps the quality at 33% of the total, which means that, yeah, you can put it in Premiere, but as soon as you resize it to make it proper, it looks horrible. I hate that I even need to outsource this and figure out how to get this to work. Because credits were the easiest thing. I was doing credit sequences when I was 14 years old in Premiere, and it was no problem at all. It was really, really easy. But now you do a really long credit sequence, 500 names, which isn't crazy by movie standards, and people make movies on this software, and all of a sudden, it doesn't work. Awesome. Thanks, Adobe. I'm so happy you charge me like, what is it, like 110 Canadian dollars every month just to have their terrible editing software. Ugh. But I've used it since I was 14, and I'm 32. I'm almost 33. I'm 33 on September 22nd. So, it's not like I'm gonna go switching now, you know? That'd make my job very difficult. Speaking of difficult job, it's time to go edit this voiceover and wrangle the edit together and try and get it done for you by the end of the day so that people can watch it. It'll be like 8 or 9 days early if I get it done tonight or just past midnight. You know, something like that. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and until next time, have a nice day.